Hello. Yes, the first news is I'm alive. Yes, I am alive. And you might be wondering where I've been and what has been going on. So was I. I was... That makes two of us. You know, I haven't been posting since January, and I haven't been on... I've been on YouTube, but I've not been posting things, and I didn't want to make another hey, I'm back video, because I don't really know at this point what the hell I'm doing. I wanted to explain why I've been away to my regular subscribers, and I was going to write a community post, and I was like, well, why not just film it? Although I didn't want to show you the chaos that is John's flat. I generally don't shoot in here because it is not exactly pretty. All these piles of books and everything. A couple of things have happened. One is burnout and mental health has not been good. In December, I posted the most I have probably done in a long time on this channel. Due to YouTube's whatever, I don't know what YouTube are doing at the moment, I had half the views I would usually have and half the income, and I don't get very much money from this channel anyway, but it was just disheartening because I put so much work in over the Christmas to December period. I know it was a December thing, and then in January, and I didn't want to talk about this because it sounds like I'm blaming my audience. I feel I was going to get into the burnout. To give you some background about... I think when I was doing the South Downs, I had a similar thing, and I talked about it then. There's a video about that. But also back in the early 10s, I stopped working, and it's the same feeling. It's a neurodivergent thing. It's autistic burnout. And I was like, oh, crap. And then so I put out the last of the North Downs Way videos, and then John's birthday happened, and then it just hit me. I had a bit of a mental breakdown. I don't know how to describe it. Like burnout, mental breakdown, I don't know what it is. It was just not good. And so I decided to step away from YouTube for a while. I didn't mean to do it for over 2 months, no. But I knew that if I kept forcing myself to do videos, it would go downward. And also I was disheartened. I think YouTube changed the algorithm. It didn't happen to my channel, it happened to many channels. November, December, a whole load of channels, including channels much bigger than mine, suddenly had their views cut in half. And when you're a small channel, that's a lot. You know, it makes a bigger difference. It still makes a big difference if you're a bigger channel, but when you've only getting 500 views, 300, maybe at best 1,000 on a video, to suddenly cut in half. I spent a lot of time editing those videos, more than previous. I was really trying to up my game with the video editing. And I've still got a North Downs Way video half edited that I just down tools on, and I need to get back to. A lot of that was just to do with the fact that I'd spent 19 months kind of having to deal with the stuff to do with John, and that had pretty much, I still have to go and talk to the tax man and go and scream at the pensions, because they've given me a sixth of his pension, so they've given me a fraction of his pension. I'm like, why? Why didn't you give me more? If you accept I am a partner, why did you do that? So more fighting, and that's what it got to a point of, like, I'm just fed up of fighting. I'm fed up of battling this. I was kind of just hid for the last couple of months doing home automation, doing stuff around the flat, but it was very much me kind of just getting my head in the sand and just denying. Another thing is what's happening in the world at the moment. To be a trans non-binary creator, even though I'm not really, I don't put that to the fore of my content, but it's there in this current climate. It's not the best thing. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world which is horrible, and that just has a drip on your mental health. And also stuff like, I'm wearing John's badges. This one says no blood for oil. This is from Gulf War 1, and this one says stop this bloody war. So yeah, I mean, I don't go into politics much on this channel, but it's just like, what the hell? So it seems like all my work on automation, Home Assistant, and kind of trying to sort out the hot water went. There was lots of things that went on, and trying to reduce my electricity costs. And of course, this war is just suddenly making all of that work a bit pointless. It was like, what is the point? And there's not a good way. If you get to that feeling of like saying, why am I doing this? The best thing to do is stop. and sort of, and do something else for a bit. But I wasn't intending to do it this long. But I am planning to get out. I've reconnected with Moley, because I just dropped everything. I was speaking to a couple of friends, but I mostly just dropped everything to do with YouTube apart from watching YouTube videos. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. I felt guilty about not doing videos. I felt guilty about not doing it. And it just kind of piles on, and you just have to just go, I can't do this at this moment in time. I said in a video about trauma being a wave, a tsunami of grief hit around his birthday, which was early January. And then there was this thing about the logbooks. John's famous. He's in a book. He's in the intro of a book. He's all the way through because John started what was used to be called Lesbian and Gay Switchboard. Now it's just called Switchboard. He was one of the founders of it. They interviewed him back in 2023. Then the podcast came out in January. That was difficult, hearing his voice again. I went to a talk, and I'm halfway through reading the book. It's a great book. I can show it to you. This isn't an advert for, but this is a great book, especially if you're interested in queer and trans history. It relates a lot to a time when I was struggling, because being a queer teen in the middle of Section 28. So I can relate to a lot of it as well, because they're a bit younger than me, about 10 years younger than me. They're sort of millennials, I would say. But I kind of was a teenager through all that stuff. What's happening now with demonising trans people, queer people, the war in the Middle East, it's all like, oh my God, this is just like history returning, 1990 all over again, because that was about the time I realised I was gay. Yeah, it's all like, great. And that's been playing on my mind a lot. I think the worst thing is just the fact that the trauma of John's death and a bit of Paul's death, and mostly I had time to process that. I didn't have time to process my grief for John, because I was, to be brutally frank, bodies decompose. You have to have a funeral. If I could have just stopped everything and gone away for 2-3 weeks on a hike, I would have been a lot better. But I couldn't do that. There was so much stuff to sort out, so much worry about money and banks and probate and death notices and battling pensions. But when most of that has stopped, it just crashed down on me. And so, yeah, like Valentine's Day was not good. Our anniversary date was not good. This is unfortunately the start of this year. It didn't in previous years affect me as much, but yeah. But I am planning a trip out into. I'm not going to spoil it, but I am planning a trip. I may or may not film it. I think I'm going to film it, but I might not put it on the channel, because the point is it's for me. But I probably will do. But I'll see. I really can't have any expectations about what I'm going to do in future, because I don't know where I'm going to end up. I don't know where I'm going to end up with the channel or my life. That's what I'm trying to figure out. When I had stuff I needed to do, and when I had stuff I needed to sort out, it was very much took my mind off the things I never got to process. I never got to sort out about John. And now that's gone. It's just, I'm faced with this, like, well, what do I do with the rest of my life? It's a big question, because I don't know. I think I put it in a post a while ago. What is the shape of my future life going to be? How is it going to look like? And I don't know. And I need to go. It sounds very hippie, but I need to go and find myself, and that walk is going to be about that, I think, just kind of him and me and what I want to do. I need to finish the North Downs Way, so I will do that. I need to, work out what I'm doing here. I even thought about starting a second channel about grief, because it seems like I talk about grief on this channel, but it isn't really the right place. But I don't know. I don't know about that, because it seems a bit early. Just I'm a very small channel to start a second channel. Yeah, it's what bigger channels do. But maybe. Started avoided talking about the year mark. I kind of dialed down, apart from the Paul stuff, I dialed down talking about John. And I don't think that was a good idea. I think actually it didn't help that I was doing that. I was like, it's a bit enough now. It's been a year. We need to, stop the the tributes at the start of the videos and stuff like that, and I think it was a bit early for that. But then it's always this thing about, oh, well, you know, oh, it's been this time, you know, you should be over it by now. And I know that timeline is mostly in my head. I've not had any of my friends say that to me, but it is frustrating. It's frustrating to be in that sort of well of grief and then not be able to get out of it. It's really annoying. It's like, you know, I get frustrated with myself. I'm like, well, you know, seriously, Tim, you know, we need to move on from this. But it's been hard to do so. And unfortunately, the channel has suffered because of it, because I just was in that sort of denial mode and that sort of just head in the sand. I can't deal with this. I cannot deal with this moment. And I think I'm starting to be more ready. Spring's coming along. And I've really missed doing walks. I've really missed doing hikes. I've really missed camping. So, yeah, I've been thinking, whenever it's been nice and I'm walking out, I'm thinking, oh, or, you know, even not so nice, but it's been, you know, along the river, I'm thinking, yeah, this would be really nice. It's not a cold night. It'd be really nice to be out there and camping. So I do want to do it, and I have got a walk planned, and it will be soon, very soon, because I need to get out there and just walk, see if I can do what I did with Paul with the, you know, with John. I'm not sure I can in one walk, because I didn't know Paul as long as I did John, and there's a lot of legacy stuff there. See if I can do the walk that I never did. So anyway. So I'm not saying I'm back, but I am more back than I was. I got this controller, and it's great. It was wonderful, and I actually sorted out all of that stuff with the new system, and then I just hit that wall of like, I can't do this at this point, and all those doubts, and I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? Well, you know, it's always there, but it got very bad, and this tsunami of grief coming in unexpectedly. As I say, the current situation in the world does not help. The uncertainty in my life being mirrored in the uncertainty of, you know, energy prices, economy, what we do for money, all this sort of stuff, you know, what we do with the flat, it's all kind of like, yeah. I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I'm sure a lot of you are facing for something very similar. It's just been a really uncertain time, and that has not helped. It has not helped my mental health. Just been kind of hiding in the flat, really, which is not good. But then again, the weather was crap until fairly recently, so I remember looking out into the torrential rain and going, well, at least I'm not out in that. That's true. I just thought I'd update you and what's going on. It's not really much of an update. Like, hey, I might do a video, I might not do a video. I am still alive, and I am not abandoning the YouTube channel, but I don't know what form it's going to take in future. And I know future videos are going to be different. Similar yet different. The whole framing of how it's going to go is going to be a bit different, because it's not going to be about the destination. So anyway, I'll speak to you soon.